Hello traders, this is Dave from the Compass Options Trading Room and Text Alert Service, also known as the SPY Super System. That's the software we use. And I just wanted to do a video tonight to kind of catch up on the SPY Super System trades that we do inside the room. These are relatively quick trades that we take off the SPY, the Qs, the IWM, off of 5-minute candlesticks. And this strategy we do inside the room has been extremely successful since we started this in July. And I'm going to go over the results that we've had with it. But more importantly, I'm going to go over the setups, the criteria for it, the exact setups to use, so that you can see how successful this particular strategy has been. In the trading room, we also do short-term swing trades that last several hours, just to 2 or 3 weeks. Many overnight trades, many trades that start in the morning and into the afternoon. But the SPY Super System trades that we're going to focus on here tonight are very fairly quick trades, and we'll go over the charts on those. And we also have an alert service that puts out our swing type trades to an alerts. That's been extremely successful as well. But I'm not going to cover that here. I'm basically just going to focus on the SPY Super System that we do inside the room. We can't do alerts on the SPY Super System. You need to have the software and or be in the room to get that information. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Again, my name is Dave, and we're gonna get going. Again, this is I have the Compass Options Live Trading Room, also called the SPY Super System Trading Room, and these are intraday trades on the SPY, the Qs, and the IWM. And this is what I call a trade of the day. I just pick out some of the trades that we've had recently and go over the setups so you can actually see this particular methodology in action. All right, so the first thing I have to do, of course, is this disclaimer. All signals and trading opportunities we provide here are for educational and demonstration purposes only. Trading is very risky, so you should never trade with more money than you can afford to lose, and neither myself or Right Line Trading are licensed financial advisors, so we won't be giving financial advice. Okay, so here we go. This is just a graphic to show what the alert service is like. Like I said, I'm not going to cover the alert service in this video, but we do have an alert service as well as an options trading room. This is what the alerts look like that we send out on very high probability trades. Have great track record, 85 to 90% win rate, same as in the room. Now, inside the room and on alert service, there's a couple of rules that we trade by. They sound simple. Trade the best, skip the rest. We only just take very few trades. We only take the very highest probability trade setups, and we skip the rest. And the reason I focus on this is because most retail traders, one of the biggest problems they have is overtrading. They make too many trades. They get bored. They haven't been in a trade for an hour, so they got to take a trade. They just do not have the patience. So this is why we say this. Secondly, this is to emphasize that. Our objective is not to make trades. Our objective is to make money. We're in this to make money. It's a business. We're not in here to make trades. We only want to make the very best trades. All right, again, focus on patience. So the two things we have to do is maintain discipline. Once we have a methodology that we know works, and all the ones that we use have at least an 85% win rate, once you have those, you've got to maintain discipline by sticking to those strategies. You don't want to keep trying different things, and remain patient. This is really important. The patience and discipline are the two key elements of most successful retail traders. All right, so as a profitable trader, we need an edge over other retail traders. We're not going to take money from the institutions. We're going to take money from our other retail traders. The edges that we have we have the Right Line Compass system, or what's also called the SPY Super System software that runs on Thinkorswim. This tells us if the institutions are in the trade or if they're not. That's the key element. We need to be able to trade with the institutions and not be in the trade if the institutions aren't in the trade. We also trade what's called relative strength and relative weakness. Now, this doesn't apply so much to the SPY Super System, though it does have some import, and I'll cover that. But typically, when you're trading regular stocks and options on not indexes but on regular stocks, you want to trade stocks that have relative strength. Now, that doesn't mean RSI. That means stocks that are outperforming the SPY or underperforming the SPY or the Qs. So you just compare the SPY to the Qs. SPY is moving sideways and up, and you've got a stock that's moving down, stacking red candles. It helps relative weakness. If you take a trade with relative strength or relative weakness, it's going to mitigate your losses if the market turns against you, so they'll be outperforming the market. We want to trade with market trend if there is one, and we want to buy near support and sell near resistance. This is critical. Wait for the stocks to line up and come to those support resistance levels and confirm a bounce back into the original trend, and then join in on them. And this is extremely important for the SPY super system, because when I go through this, I'm going to show you what we use for support and resistance. It's critical that you get into these trades as close to those support and resistance levels as possible. That's what's going to give you a really high win rate, and it's going to keep your losses really, really small. Okay, before we get into too much here, I do want to go over what drives a market, what creates the market movement that you see, the trends, the choppiness, etc. Market's made up of two groups. These are us. These are the retail traders, these little marbles. Myself and most likely everybody else watching this video. We're retail traders. When we're in the trade or when we're trading and the institution money is not in there in any significant amount, then what we're doing is we're causing a lot of chop and chaos. The market's just chopping around. You can't get any kind of consistency. You're just battling it out with other retail traders. There's no trend to follow. So you're wasting your time. Basically, you're just going to get chewed to bits. Now, once the institutions start to trade, and the institutions are identified by this big, huge marble here. This is your investment banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, all of the big banks, Bank of America. But it's also made up of pension funds, for state pension funds, firemen's pension funds, police pension funds, also hedge funds, massive amounts of hedge funds with billions of dollars to trade. And lastly, also is mutual funds, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, all the big mutual funds also do a lot of trading. Now, most investment banks, the Goldman Sachs, the Morgan Stanley, all those big boys, they have a trade desk, which would be humans trading, and that's not a big portion of it. Most of it is coming from algos. Algos are computer programs that the investment banks write to look for specific conditions or news within the market, and they trade off of that news and or off of that condition. And that's about 80% of the trades that come through the market are coming from algo trading. All right. So again, our job as a retail trader is to know when the institutions are in there and trade with them, and know when they're not in there and don't be making a trade. That's all we're doing. We're just following them, and we're going to take money away from these other retail traders who don't have the same information we've got. They don't have the indicators we've got. They don't have the methodology we've got. So basically, these guys, these other retail traders, they go into battle with pea shooters, and we're coming in with bazookas and cannons here to take money from them, and that's what we do. I mean, trading is a battle. You're trading against other retail traders, and if you've got better information, better indicators, and a better methodology, you're going to beat them every time. All right, and it's this I just kind of pointed here. Algos have taken over the market, as I mentioned. They trade about 80% of the trades generated by institutions are done by algos, by computer systems. And our job is, again, to identify when the institutions are in the trade. So we're basically joining the algos. We're gonna know when they're in there, and we're gonna join those trades. And it's important to understand that algos also they've written programs to take money away from retail traders. They identify what they know some retail traders trade, such as MACD crossovers, Fibonacci's, trading RSI, these kind of things, and they write algos to basically know when those things occur. What they'll do is they'll create a MACD crossover once it's close, knowing that retail traders will come into the trade, and then they'll flush it down after you're in there. They can actually see that, and all we need to do is know about when they're in the trade and when they're not. That's all. And this flushing that they do, this creation that they do, doesn't take a lot of volume to do that. It can take a small amount of volume. We're just looking for the institutions that are in there in force. All right, so to kind of cover quickly the Compass system, or the SPY super system, which is a software that we have that goes on Thinkorswim. It kind of looks like this, and I'll show you some of these charts. It identifies the highest probability trade setups that there are. So we could trade those, but was also going to have us sidestep trades that look good on paper, but they're going to fail more often than they succeed because they're not being pushed by the institutions. The institutions are not actually creating this trend. And it does this by identifying when the institutions are driving the move and when they're not. This is critical. This is one of the most important things we're looking for. And the Compass system, or the SPY software, SPY super system software, it analyzes a lot of complex data to come up with this information. And then it displays the results in an easily identifiable visual format. So it converts really complex data and presents it to you on the screen that's really easy to read. And this is a huge, huge difference, because even fairly new traders are going to be able to identify these trends and when the institutions are in and when they're not. And that's a big edge when you're trying to trade. Okay, now we're going to talk about the SPY super system methodology. And again, it's kind of a little confusing, but the SPY super system is also the software. And then we have a methodology within that we're going to trade the SPYs, the Qs, the IWM. So these are the indexes we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at the SPYs, the Qs, and the IWM. These are the three that I use. You can use SPX. You can trade this on futures as well. You can use the ES and the NQ, etc. But I focus on the SPY, the Qs, and IWM. And the statistics I'm going to show you are based on these three indexes. The indicator that we use, the most important one, is the current time frame momentum. And as I talk about a color change, I'll show you the current time frame momentum is an indicator on the software that we have, the SPY super system software, that changes color depending upon what the institutions are doing on that 5-minute candle, and I'll show you that. The VWAP, which is called volume weighted average price, if you're not familiar with that, it's something that all the institutions use. It's a key level. You use it on the 5-minute chart, not on the daily chart. This is really important. This is the main support resistance level we use to trade the SPY super system off of. When the price is near the VWAP, this is when we get interested in taking a trade, looking for a setup on the off the VWAP. So when the price is above the VWAP, we're going to be looking at longs, and when it goes below the VWAP, we're going to be looking at shorts. Generally speaking, there are exceptions. If the stock falls too far down and it's a long way from the VWAP, but it's on 15, and there's room from the 15 to the upside, you could actually be trading it long, even though it's below the VWAP if the institutions are in there buying. But generally speaking, if you follow the fact that you're going to trading long above the VWAP and short below the VWAP, that'll help a lot. And then we use the 15 EMA of an EMA. This is a smooth EMA 15. This is another support and resistance level that we use. So if the stock price is considerably distant from the VWAP, you're not close to the VWAP, but you are close to the 15 EMA, this can be used as support and resistance level to enter a trade around the 15 EMA. And I'll show you that when we get to the charts. And then we have another thing called a pivot point. This is a white line on our charts. This is another support resistance level. We don't trade off of it, but we want to be aware of it if it's actually exists at the moment, because it is a support and resistance level. And if you're taking a trade that as the stock breaks above the VWAP, if the pivot point is very close above there, you have to be cautious, because you could be limiting your profit. So you've got to be aware of that. All right. So one thing I want to talk about is the thing that we rely on the most for the SPY super system is momentum. Okay, momentum is critical in determining if the institutions are in the trade or not. And a lot of traders, they misunderstand what constitutes momentum. Momentum isn't just a bunch of green candles or a bunch of red candles. It's more detailed than that, to find out if the institutions are really in there or not. So let's talk about what momentum is. A lot of people think momentum is if you're in a car and you step on the gas, then you got momentum. The car's surging forward, and that's momentum. This isn't what happens with stocks. This is what momentum really is. This is an uptrend. These would be green candles. The way we look at momentum, and the way the SPY super system is going to show you momentum, it's looking at multiple things. This is the candle. This is the open. This is the close. This is the high, and this is the close. Open, high, close. Right. As on green candles, as each green candle is created, if the close of each candle is getting closer to the high of that candle, and that continues like that, that's what momentum is. This shows an acceleration in momentum. This is being pushed by institutions. You could have green candle after green candle, but if the close is not getting closer and closer to the high of the candle, especially if the candles are moving kind of sideways, then you don't have the momentum. And on the downside, of course, it's the close is getting closer and closer to the very low of that particular candle. And as it gets near to the very close, that would show the maximum momentum. All right, so this is what momentum is, and this is what we're tracking. Okay, so the criteria for the setup. So I'm going to talk about this, then we're going to show a chart, and we're going to go over each of these things. It might sound complicated. It's not. It's very, very simple when I show it to you. Okay, so we're going to trade the strongest index on an up day. If we have a green market, we're going to trade the strongest index on an up day and trade the weakest index on a down day. So what we do is we look at the SPY, the Q, and the IWM, and we see which one is performing the best to the upside. Right, on a day where the market's weak, we're going to look at the one that's performing the worst, which has got the biggest loss for the day. And initially, that's the one we're going to focus on, because this is kind of a relative strength, relative weakness situation. If the SPY's up, 0.8%, the Qs are up 0.3%, and the IWM is up 0.2%, then we're going to try to go with the SPY because it's got more momentum and it's also stronger than the other indexes. There's more money going into that index. So that's how we're going to look at that. Now, the one caveat to that is when you take a trade on one of the indexes, you've got to know where your support and resistance levels are. You don't want to jump into the SPY if it's the strongest index if it's running right up against the 50-day moving average or the 100-day moving average or something like that. So we're taking the strongest index that has the most room to the next resistance or support level. So what we do is we look at the current momentum indicator. It's coming on our SPY super system chart. And if it changes from red or yellow to blue or green, that would be a long. That means the institutions are going from selling, if it's red or yellow, to buying, if it's blue or green. And I'll show you that. That would be our entry point. One of the entry points we would be looking at. And we're going to enter when the current momentum indicators changes from blue or green, which is bullish, to red or yellow, which is bearish. So this would be for a short. If the institutions go from buying to selling, then we're going to be looking at taking a short. Okay. If going long, the index should be up for the day. In other words, if you're trading the SPY long, you'd like to have it green for the day. Now you can do counter trend trades, as I mentioned. You can, if the stock has fallen and maybe it's gone red, but it's bouncing off the 15, moving up toward the VWAP, and it's got quite a bit of room, and you can see the institutions are buying it, then you can do some counter trend trading like that. But typically you want to stay with the market if you can. And again, in a going short, the index should be down for the day, but again, counter trend trades can be taken. The stock price should be above VWAPs for long and below VWAPs for short. This is the general rule. All right. So that's the SPY super system setup criteria that we're looking for. And this is what the current the SPY super system software is going to show us. Now, again, the best entry setups are right here, and what we just talked about. The SPY, the Q, and the IWM to take the strongest. And when the color changes from selling to buying, or from buying to selling, that's an indicator that you can look at and decide if you want to get in. Now, you've got to take a look at where you are in relationship to your support and resistance level, but you know the institutions are at least buying it at that point. Okay? Okay. Now, the best entry setups, and there's 2 high probability setups for longs and 2 high probability setups for shorts. All right, so longs, you take the strongest bullish index, as I mentioned. Let's say the SPY is the strongest index. You're going to take the SPY. The price should be moving up through the VWAP. In other words, from coming below the VWAP to above the VWAP, or bouncing off the VWAP after a pullback. It could have gone above the VWAP, pulls back to it, and now it's bouncing off of it again and confirming that it's going back into the original trend. And the current momentum indicator must be blue or green. Now, it may have just turned blue or green, but it has to be blue or green. You've got to be the institutions have to be buying that index at that time. You can't go in there if it bounces above the VWAP and you've got a yellow and a red momentum indicator. You don't want to touch that. You got to wait until that indicator turns bullish. And again, the strongest bullish index can also be used if the price is moving up to the 15 bouncing off the 15. So we can do these trades off the VWAP or off the 15 EMA, because these can be, there can be a big distance between the VWAP and the 15 EMA. Stock may get above the VWAP and never pull back to it all day long, but it may bounce back off the 15 2 or 3 times. So these are the two bullish setups that we have, using the VWAP or using the 15 EMA. All right, and everything else remains the same. You're going to be looking for institutions buying it. You're going to be looking for it going through the resistance level or the support level, and then confirming that's back into that trend again. All right, now on the two high probability setups for shorts, you're going to take the weakest index. Obviously, if we're going to go short, we want to have the one that's having the worst day. The price movement should be moving down through the VWAP or bouncing off the VWAP after moving up to the VWAP. In other words, the shock should be coming through the VWAP, coming down, or have already gone through the VWAP, come up and hit it, and starts to move back down again. If the VWAP is the key here. And the current momentum indicator must be yellow or red. The institutions have got to be selling this index. And the weakest bearish index, you can do the same thing with the 15 EMA. If the stock price is considerably far away from the VWAP, you switch to the 15 EMA. That becomes your support or resistance level. All right, so this is not really very complicated, and I'll show you here as we go forward. All right, so this is the SPY super system, or what you also call the compass system. This is the software running on Thinkorswim. This is an image of my Thinkorswim chart, right? And it looks real busy because there's several indicators on here. This is a long-term trend. This is a multi-time frame momentum, but this is the one we're interested in for the SPY super system. This is the current time frame momentum right here. This is telling us the current time frame momentum this is on a 5-minute candlestick. This is here's my colors. All right, so this is I have an arrow to that. That's the indicator we're interested in. Current time frame momentum. We only need that. We need the VWAP, which is this pink line, and we need the 15 EMA, which is this little thin green line right here. I've got that marked, and I've got that marked. That's all you need to do this system. That's all you need to do this methodology. All right. Now, in this particular trade here, this was one back in August. And I just did this because I had set this chart up and I put all the names and everything on here. I didn't want to have to do that every trade, but I'm going to show more current trades. But this is the trade we took on the 9th of August. Now, if you see the current time frame momentum here, you see it's red here, and you see it goes blue. Right here on this candle, you see this? It goes from red to blue. Institutions selling, institutions buying. All right, what's the price doing? It's moving up through the VWAP and up through the 15 EMA. This is the entry we take. As the stock price moves up through the VWAP and the 15 EMA, and our current time frame momentum switches from red to blue, or is already blue or green, this is where we take this trade. And so we took this trade right here. Now, as the trade moves along, your 15 EMA becomes your stop. Once the stock price gets above the 15 EMA, then that becomes your stop. So you can ride this trade all the way up, and it's starting to get fairly extended. So you're really kind of watching it when it gets up here to take profits. And this is where we took profits right here as we get this doji candle up here. The pink arrows that's on here, this is the SPY super system software produces these for breaks of compression. And these are fairly helpful in getting into a trade because you're getting a break here of compression. But you don't have to have that to get in the trade, but it does help. All right, so you can see this trade here. You can see how many candles we were in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 5-minute candles, 1 hour. Okay, we were in this for 1 hour. This is on the SPY. You can see the SPY 5-minute chart right here. All right, and that trade was good for $220 of profit per contract. $220 profit per contract off the SPY. And what I'm using here is typically 1 strike in the money on the call side. All right, we're using calls and puts. That's 1 strike in the money on the call side. That gave us $220 in profits. But again, we're only interested in this level right here, this current time frame momentum. We're interested in the VWAP. We're interested in the 15 EMA. Then we're just looking for price action. That's it. All right. The other things I use for swing trades and longer term intraday trades. But for the SPY super system trading, this methodology, this is all we need. And I'm going to show you the results we've had with this. And it's pretty impressive. Okay, so this was a trade that this is a trade we did on the 20th, just the end of last week. we had 2 exits on this one. I took the first exit. Some people in the room actually hung in there for the second exit. Now, notice it's red. With current time frame momentum, institutions selling. Institutions switch to buying on the 5-minute right here. So I don't take it here. I wait for this break because the stock breaks above the VWAP, and it also went above the 15. This is where I enter the trade, right here. Okay. Now, for myself, when I got into this trade, as it moved up here to this white line, this is the what I was telling you about. This is the pivot point. So once this got up there and stopped, I took profits here because I thought that was probably going to be the end, and I didn't want to wait too long. Now, some of the folks in the room actually held on to this because it was still staying above the 15 and didn't really show any indication it was going to fall. And you notice that the current time frame momentum, telling us whether they're buying or selling, stayed that they were buying. It went from blue to green, which is even stronger buying. So they stayed in this one, and they got a good benefit out of that because it moved through this pivot point, and then it moved up here, and the second exit was way up here later in the day, and that produced $340 a contract. This was a huge trade, $340 a contract profit. Where I get out was $180 profit per contract. But this shows you how you can make these trades, and you have to manage these trades yourself. They're fairly quick, and if you can read price action, it helps a lot. But this was a pretty nice trade. I think you can see that the entry was pretty obvious. Okay, let's do one more here. This was another one on 12/20. This was on the same day. This was on the SPY. This was on the SPY. But notice what we did here. We shorted the SPY. All right, so here's the SPY running along the 15. Notice that it's green here, the current time frame momentum green. See it switched to yellow here? Selling taking place. And now it switches to yellow, but I'm not taking it right yet. I'm waiting for the 15 to break. See that right here is where the price closed below there, and it's yellow. If I'm short, I take it short right there. And I take this trade, and I notice it stays below the 15. That becomes my stop. I write it down, I write it down, I write it down. I get a green candle, I get out right here. Even though it's still selling, I took my profits right here because I'm looking at price action, and I was up $130 a contract on that particular trade. So this is 2 SPY super system trades in one day, one long and one short. Another one here, this was an IWM. This was on the 15th of November. Now you can see here that the current time frame momentum, you can see the institutions are selling the heck out of this thing. I mean, it's red, 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 red all across here. Even multi-time was red. A lot of selling going on. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a break. Again, there's the VWAP right there, the pink line. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a break. Now, see, I get this pop out of the box or pop signal, which tells me your compression's breaking. This is where we take the trade right here. And once we get into that trade, at first the VWAP becomes our stop. If we got a candle that closed above the VWAP, after this candle we get in on, you get out. So your losses are going to be very small. But in this particular case, it heads down, it keeps compressing. Now, once it gets away from the VWAP a little bit, once it gets down here, now I'm up to 15 becomes my stop, all right? Because it's pulling away from the VWAP. So I don't want to wait for it to go all the way back to the VWAP. So I ride this thing down, and I write it down, Now notice it goes up and pops, gets to the 15, but doesn't close, pops up a little bit. It's flattening out here. So at this point in time, I'm taking profits. It's just compressing, and you notice it switched from red selling to blue buying right here. You can see it went right back to buying again. So I'm out of the trade right here, anywhere in here, but I get out right here, right? $120 a contract profit on that, right? Pretty simple. You can see we're just looking at this. We're looking at the VWAP and the 15, and we're looking for a break below it. That's it. Right, here's the Qs. This was another one at 11.15. This was good for $160 profit per contract. Here's my entry right here. Notice red across the board. I'm just waiting for a setup. Once I see it's all red like that, I'm looking for a short setup. So I'm watching the price as how it is on the VWAP, and I'm waiting for the break below the VWAP. Now it breaks below it here, and then I took it here. You could actually take it here, but I took it here as it broke below the VWAP off of this pop out of the box symbol right here. I take it right here, and we just write it down. Now it's compressing. Again, what's my stop here? First, it's the VWAP. Then once the VWAP gets above the 15, or the 15 comes down below the VWAP, now my stop becomes the 15. So I ride this down, and you notice the price never got to the 15. It was getting closer to it, but it was still drifting down, and this is where I get out right here. And you see it went back over to blue here. This is telling you some really good information here about institutions. You can see that they were selling. You can see that they identified the institutions were coming back in. You don't want to be short when that happens. $160 a contract profit. And listen, not all the profits are going to be that big. I get a lot of them that are $40 a contract, $70 product contract, $90 a contract. But these are some of the ones I pointed out because they're more obvious. Because some of the trades we take, you might only be in it for a candle or two, and so they're going to be fairly quick. But it's hard to point them out on a chart because if I get into it here and then I get a down candle and then a big up candle, I get out in this candle. It's hard to point out the actual setup and the construction. It's much easier to see it when there's quite a few candles involved. That's why I showed it like that. All right, this was the SPY Super System for 10-4, and this was $180 profit per contract. Again, here's my entrance right here. You see the VWAP? See the institutions buying? See they go from selling to buying. The stock price breaks above the VWAP and the 15 right here on this candle. Kind of hard to see the candle because this is in a shaded area. This shaded area is called a dynamic compression zone. The SPY Super System software creates this dynamic compression zone. It's actually a zone that you like to see a stock break out of. I don't use it for the SPY Super System so much, but this is where we took this trade. See the pop out of the box? Blue. Institutions buying, break above the VWAP. Let's take it in. We get in right here. The 15 becomes our stop. We ride this thing up. Stock price never goes back below the 15 again. We just keep riding it. And now we're watching it pretty closely here as we're starting to get a little bit of momentum loss, and we get out of it right here. $180 a contract. Everything you see has stayed green the whole way through here. Another SPY Super System trade here. This was 823, but I'm not going to go over an awful lot more of these, but I do want you to see. Here's the VWAP. You notice that we were yellow already, so the institutions were selling. Then it went to red. It broke below the VWAP. We take it right here. The stock kind of moves sideways. I'm not really making any money on this trade, but I'm watching the 15. I want this to stay below the 15. It stayed below it here. It stayed below it. It stayed below it. It popped above it, but closed below it, and then popped above it and came back down again. And then I stayed in it because it hadn't closed above the 15. And then I get a nice little flush and get out of this trade for 280. But you have to kind of watch it when it's going through this kind of compression. Notice this stayed, current time frame momentum stayed red the whole way. All right, so you can see what these look like. This was one here on 823. You can see we go from selling to buying, red to blue. Here's the VWAP. There's the pop out of the box symbol. You take the trade right here. You follow it up. The 15 becomes your stop. Notice the price never got below the 15, and you get out right here as you get the red candle coming in. These little dotted lines are called trend dots. I don't use those on this particular methodology. All right. And this was another one, $110 a profit. Again, breaking down below the VWAP right here and right down below the pivot point. This is where I got entered. I could have entered over here. See how it went to yellow? I could have entered it here, but I was watching this pivot point. So I waited until it broke the pivot point, then I get in. All right, and then I rode that down. And it never really did too much here, just compressed. Then I get a little bit of a flush and I get out down here. Just $110 a contract, but that was still pretty nice, and the institutions were selling off the whole time. All right, so I'll skip. I won't go through any more of these just so you can see how this works. Again, $190 profit here. This was a nice move on the SPY to the upside. See, it broke above the VWAP, went red to blue, broke above the VWAP. Okay, so these are the results that we've had with the SPY Super System, but I've only been doing this since July. I introduced it to the room in July. I've been doing it for a lot longer, but I introduced it to the room and quantified it since then. So in July, we had 16 SPY Super System trades wins and 0 losses that month. 2,000 invested in each trade, produced 2,596 in profits. And the profits are going to be really dependent on what kind of a market you have. In trending days, you're going to get bigger profits. Choppy days, you're going to be taking a lot of smaller profits. In August, trading was terrible in August for the market, but we had a lot of SPY Super System trades. We had 56 wins, 6 losses, and 2 scratches. 2,000 invested in each trade produced 8201. And if you see my results for the rooms, by the way, for the room and the alert service, those results do not include the SPY Super System. SPY Super System's profits are completely separate from what we do in the room. September, 40 wins, 3 losses, 2 break-evens. 2,000 invested in each trade produced $7,132. Pretty nice. In October, 33 and 4, fewer trades. 2,000 invested produced 48.31. Again, the profits move around because some trading days are nice and trending, and you can stay in them longer, and some of them aren't. And one thing to notice here with the SPY Super System, you're only going to have one trade on at a time. You're just trading one trade at a time, and they're going to be very short duration trades. A lot of people in the room, of course, we do a lot of high probability trades that we trade for 5-6 hours or out to 3 weeks. We take a lot of overnight trades, but while we're waiting to find those kind of trades, a lot of folks in the room will use the SPY Super System to enhance their profitability by trading these when these occur while we're waiting for other setups. All right, so again, you only have one trade on at a time. They're going to be short duration, but you have to monitor them. You have to be there to monitor these. You just can't put them on and walk away. And in November, we were 45 and 2, 2,000 invested in each trade, produced 71.79. So those are your profits month by month. I haven't had a losing month on this yet, not even close on the SPY Super System. All right, but you've got to follow the criteria that I just laid out to the T. You really have to follow it to a T. Just so you can see, this was our October SPY Super System results that we just talked about. 33 wins and 4 losses, 89% win rate. Again, 48.31, we just covered this. 2,000 invested in each trade. In the room itself, the options trading room for the high probability regular trades, not the SPY Super System trades, we had 17 wins and 3 losses, 85% win rate, 74.48. So if you traded these and you traded the high probability trades for swing trades, this is what your profit would have been if you put 2,000 into each trade, about 12 grand, a little over. November, same thing. We had 45 wins and 2 losses, as I pointed out, 95% win rate. Again, 2,000 invested each trade created 71.79. The November options trades in the room. These are the high probability trades that last anywhere from all day to 3 weeks. We had 14 wins and 2 losses. A lot fewer trades, you can see. 88% win rate, produced at 59.58. So we actually made more money in November in the SPY Super System than we did in this, but we only had 16 trades. We didn't have a lot of trades here. We had 47 SPY Super System trades. All right, so that's the results we've had with the SPY Super System since July. It's really, really an impressive piece of software that this lets us know when the institutions are in there. This methodology is really it's powerful. I mean, this is a powerful methodology that I've been using really successfully. A lot of people in the room now are using it very successfully. If you're in my room and in the trading room, if you become a member of the trading room, you'll see these every day because I keep the SPY Super System on Thinkorswim up on the chart. This is what you would be seeing in the room. I display the SPY, the Q, the IWM, plus any other trades you're looking for. So you don't need to have the software if you're in the room to make these trades because we'll be pointing them out. If you have the software, if you buy the SPY Super System software and put it on your Thinkorswim platform, and Rightline will put it on there for you. Once you buy it, they'll just put it on and they'll take over your machine, put it on. It'll look exactly like mine. If you've got that, you can do these yourself without even being in the room. Or you can be in the room and have your own, so you can be looking for your own trades. But you need to either be in the room or have the software to be able to do these trades. All right, so this was another one here. You can see this trade right here, and I just left this up so you could see just by looking at it, so you can identify. You see the red to blue, selling, buying. See the pop up to the VWAP? I don't take it there. I take it here, right here. As we break through the VWAP, that's the trade. 5 candles, and I'm out. Right there. See, these will be fairly short trades. That's probably only good for about $60 to $70 a contract profit. Right? IWM, same thing. All green. Where do we get in? We don't want to be up here. You see how we're away from the 15 and the VWAP? So what do? We wait for the price to come to the 15. Notice it comes back down now. We're on support. It bounces off of it. We're still green. We bounce off of it. We enter right here. It moves sideways. Now we're watching it closely because we went to green to yellow, but then we went right back to green again. We never close below the 15. We ride this trade right up and we likely get out right about here or right about here. Okay, so that's the demo. This was a trade that I was talking about where you can do counter trend trading. This is 2 trades off the SPY in a short time frame. This is a short right here. Notice we got red, right? Institutions selling. We're breaking below the VWAP. We're breaking below the 15. We get in the trade here. Boom, boom. 2 candles. We get a green candle, and we get out as soon as it bounces off of here. We take a small gain on this thing, probably $40 to $50 to $60 a contract. Then we watch it again. Now we get a pop-up here, right? It goes from red to blue. See this? Selling, buying. Notice as they buy, it's breaking above the 15 in the VWAP, right? This is where you enter. So now you took the SPY that you just made money on short, you take it long, and you ride it up here, and I'd be getting out right here at this pivot point. Personally, this is where I would get out as it got to either here or right here at the pivot point. But you can see it stayed blue and green, institutions buying. This is one you got short winner, long winner right there. All right, so I'll skip past both of these. So that's that is the SPY super system, and that we what happened to the platform here. And this is my SPY super system live right here. This is live right now. This is Christmas night, and this is a SPY futures right here. You can see the ES on a 5-minute chart. This is right now at 2340, 1140 right here. This is showing you what the futures are doing, but this is what the platform looks like. And these are particular scanners that come with the platform. If you buy the SPY super system, we've got a lot of scanners in here. This is a cascading up scan. I've got one for 5 minutes, and I've got one for daily that you can use. This is I use this during the day for cascading up. If I want to go to looking for swing trades, I can go to the cascading up, for example, for bullish on the daily chart, daily basis right here, and that's going to give me anything that was cascading up in a daily. And I don't know if it'll come up tonight because after hours. But what you do is when you get a symbol that comes up like you had here on BVR, I can just click on it and it'll bring the chart right up for you. So when these populate, so that's how you can use these scanners. And there's quite a few scanners that I have that you can use. And so there's cascading up right there in the 5-minute. So this is the ES right now. So you can see what the ES is doing after hours. Right now it's up $5. Fairly bullish on the upside. But notice again, if you were trading futures, you see this break right here above the 15 as the stock comes up and breaks above the 15 right here. And you notice that the current time frame momentum is green. This would be if you're in futures, you could after hours you could buy right here, and you probably ride up here and then get out. And then it comes back here, and you notice it switches to yellow, and it switches to yellow as it breaks down below the 15. You could take a short right here and get it 1 candle out of it. That's it. You get 1 candle out of it and ride it. You could stay in it if you wanted to, but I would have just taken profits here as it starts to move sideways, but it's still staying red. All right, and so that's the ES and the NQ on the futures. Oops. There's the Q futures right here. Again, very similar. They're working very similar to the SPY. All right, so that's what you see with the Compass software, the SPY Super System software, which you can buy the software. You can become a member of my room. You can become a member of the alert service. But if you want to do the SPY Super System, you either have to have the software or be a member of the room. All right, so that's what I have to cover for you guys tonight. I appreciate you taking time to watch it. Consider the SPY Super System. I think it would be a great enhancement to your trading for this upcoming year in 2025. All right, have a great Happy New Year, everybody. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll get into 2025 doing strong. We had win rate 87.5% this past year in the room, and for anybody putting 2,000 each trade that we put in the room, net profit was about 60,000. So that we had a good year, a very good year. The last 2 years have been 60,000 or more, so that's pretty good. All right, everybody, thanks very much for watching. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in the room.